This is our last lesson in the unit on World War II. We're going to take a look at the Holocaust and the war crimes trials that followed after the war. Core beliefs in the Nazi political party when Hitler joined it and prior to his becoming a leader in Germany were beliefs in the superiority of the German race, and that Germany's troubles, which stemmed from the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I, were actually the fault of Germany's Jewish population. So when Hitler came to power, one of his goals was to exterminate the Jewish population. What followed were a series of laws that were meant to identify Jews and make them second-class citizens in Germany. The easiest way to identify Jews, as you can see here, was to wear a Star of David. This was yellow on the outside of their clothing so that they could be identified. The next step would be to round them up in particular areas of cities, to register them, and then once the concentration camps were built, ship them off to be used as slave laborers and to be exterminated. This map shows the various concentration camps that were built, first in Germany on the left, and then as Germany took control of other areas, initially Poland, and as they continued out, other countries as well, they were built there. When they arrived on the trains, they were taken off the trains, they were separated. The men and women that were deemed healthy enough to work were going to be used as slave laborers in the camps. The old, the young, the sick were immediately taken to the showers. You can see the title at the top of that doorway translates to disinfecting wash. They were told that they were going to be deloused, when in fact out of the shower heads, and I should point out this was men and women together in the room, Zyklon B gas came out of the shower heads. The doors were locked, so of course they couldn't escape. Once they were dead, the bodies were collected by some of the slave laborer workers in the camp. You can see here the hair was shaved. The teeth, at the time, dentists filled cavities with gold, which is why the teeth were pulled, and the gold fillings were melted down and turned into gold bars, and those were stored in Swiss bank vaults. The bodies were then put into ovens, as you can see here. The laborers were put on a diet that purposefully starved them after about 6 months, and then they were gassed to death. War crimes trials were held after the war for the German Nazi leadership in Nuremberg, Germany, where the leaders were held accountable for their actions. War crimes trials were also held in Tokyo, Japan, for the Japanese military leadership and its brutal treatment of prisoners of war, and its brutal treatment of the people that it colonized. So then, just to sum up, Hitler's final solution was the extermination of all Jews. I should point out some numbers to you. 6 million Jews were put to death. a total of about 12 million people were put to death. So there were about 6 million non-Jews that were also put to death. Hitler used the camps for gypsies. Many gypsies were put to death or used as slave laborers, homosexuals, and just political opponents. And that brings us to the end of our unit on World War II.